What's up, gang? It's your boy Wolfpack Chris, Face of Iron Gang, and you can follow me on Instagram at IRON_GANG. That's IRON_GANG Iron Gang. We haven't done a Reddit review in a while. In fact, I haven't done videos in about a couple of weeks. The last video I just posted is about African weightlifting. You guys should go check that out. It's really interesting. I want to start doing more features on not just weightlifting in countries like Africa, but places like Southeast Asia and other areas in the world where you wouldn't commonly think of bodybuilding, weightlifting, powerlifting, and that nature, just to show you how those boys getting in. But anyway, I started a series called Reddit Responses for the fitness community on YouTube. And yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot of responses, but you know, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? This is just my opinions. If you guys are interested, you can share your opinions. If you're not interested, there's other videos, there's other topics to talk about. This will be the third video, and we're gonna try to do more like this on more interesting topics that come off the Reddit website. So without further ado, one of the things that I came across on Reddit, on the bodybuilding subreddit, was a video posted by one of the guys from the Reddit community, and it's titled "Bradley Martyn's View of Bodybuilding as a Sport." And then he asked pretty much for thoughts. Now, I posted in this subreddit and gave my opinion about bodybuilding as a sport. I'm not going to go into details about what Bradley Martyn said. I'll talk about it a little bit. You guys can go to YouTube and watch the video. You can come to Reddit and watch the video, as you can see on the screen right here. But I'm going to shoot down to my comment real quick. Iron Gang. I'm going to read a little bit about what I said, and then I'm going to talk about why I said what I said. So I pretty much said bodybuilding competition is too subjective, as stated. And it's hard not to look at guys based on personal preference over personal interest when they've gotten that high up in the industry. And I'm talking about the IFBB, Olympia, Arnold, Pro Classics, etc. I think early to mid 90s and the evolution of the mass monster, quote unquote, it was cool to see Dorian bring in a massive physique as lean as he was, but subjectively aesthetic were debatable, especially when you had dope ass Levroni, Flex, Sean Ray, but yet Dorian continued to eat lunch over the years until more mass monsters got in the game to give us a true massive competition, quote unquote massive. And the examples of that were Ronnie, Jay Cutler, and the other big guys who came along with him. How did the sport go from perception that massive size over aesthetics would be a great promotional attraction to the mass gen public, when in all reality, the true heavyweight competitors have been debatable? I truly believe, as good as Jay Cutler was on stage, there were at least 2 Olympias where Dexter should have beat him out and won on pure aesthetics and muscle separation alone. And my counter question to this is there a way that bodybuilding could get away from subjective judging and have true metric point system that complements the physique brought out on stage? Now, in the Bradley Martyn video, Bradley pretty much talked about the subjectivity or the subjugation of the competitions. And personally, I don't think it matters what group is doing it, whether it's MPC, OCB, IFBB with the pros, or whoever is hosting competitions. When these guys come out on stage, everybody pretty much, let's be honest, everybody's bringing a good physique. Everybody's bringing something that the untrained eye would look at and be like, man, these guys are really in shape. They're ripped to shreds. They're massive, or they just got a nice toned body. These guys are coming out on stage looking very, very good. But when they get on stage and you have to compare them to each other, what are you comparing them by? There is no metric scale. There's no metric point system designed like basketball, baseball, football, even in the powerlifting community, where they pretty much are going off of what's the most that one person can lift. what's the most reps that one person can lift on max PR. You know, there are no metrics like these sports to really govern who is the top competitor, who is the best of the best. And it's all subjugation. And in the video that Bradley Martyn is talking about, he gives an example of when he first started competing, how nobody cared about who he was or what he was doing, and he wasn't really winning many competitions. But then when he started to get his social media persona started to grow, when the YouTube thing started to take off and he started to get some popularity and his business started to take off and people started noticing him and knowing who he was and he had a following, a lot of these groups, the IFBB, OCB, MPC, and whoever, you know, groups like that were hosting the competition, they were coming out after Bradley Martyn and asking him to show up to compete. And not only were they asking him to show up to compete, they were pretty much guaranteeing that if he showed up to compete and made an appearance, that he would actually win those competitions. And he said in the video, he stated that he felt very bad about that, and he felt like there was something wrong with the governing bodies of judging in these competitions. So in my Reddit response to this subreddit text, or whatever you want to call it, a title, I mean, I draw the example of Dorian Yates and the introduction of the mass monsters. Now, there's a lot of debate, and you know, we could get into that as a whole another subject for another time, about size over aesthetics, but that has been a very real debate. Are the guys who are coming up, showing up on stage 300 pounds or pushing them their 300 pounds and barely walk through the door without turning sideways, are they bringing in a purely aesthetic physique? Arnold Schwarzenegger talked about it, and he made big complaints along with other people that these guys are showing up with protruding bellies. Like, there's no V-taper anymore. There's no vacuum sucking. There's no vacuum poses anymore. It's just pure raw size muscle stepping out on stage and no aesthetics. And so in this piece, I talked about Jay Cutler versus Dexter. I don't want to take nothing away from Jay Cutler. I met him at a LA Fit Expo. Very nice guy, very good guy, very humble guy. I'm a Jay Cutler fan, but in all actuality and truth, if you look at some old Olympia photos when Jay and Dexter used to be on stage together before Jay retired, you look at Dexter's physique, he might not be big or as massive as Jay, but his physique was phenomenal. I mean, dude had the V-taper, he had the muscle separation, he had the muscle bellies, he had the fullness, he came in dry. Everything that you would say that the governing bodies look at in terms of how they judge and how they decide who's going to be the winner of the Olympia, Dexter Jackson showed up with the full package. But the problem was, it was still under subjectivity of what the judges like the best. And whenever you're competing based off subjugation, to me, and I'm pretty sure if you're a reasonable, rational guy or lady, you would agree, that's just not a fair scale of determination of who should win. You know, so like I said at the end of my comment, is there a way bodybuilding could get away from the subjective judging? I don't want to say just get away from subjective judging, but cohabitat subjective judging with a true metric point system. Now, I know Jerry Ward did an interview with Dorian Yates, and Dorian Yates is trying to introduce a new competition based on metrics rather than just stage physique and poses and all that. And I'll try to link the video to Jerry Ward's interview with Dorian so you guys can get more information about that and more details. But I think this is part of the reason why a lot of people are saying that bodybuilding from a general public popularity standpoint is starting to die. I remember when I was young, coming up, you kind of wanted to be like the bodybuilders. You kind of wanted to be, you know, I don't want to say like the mass monsters, but you wanted to have that physique. You thought that was a thing, that was the look, man. And even now, you hear a lot of guys, especially young guys, talk about making gains and they eating all these crazy ass macros. They don't even know what macros are, but they eating all these crazy ass calories and going to the gym, and they think that they lifting something, they think that they doing something, don't really know what the hell they doing. They just trying to emulate the guys that they idolize, trying to get big just like them and have no clue. And the problem is because bodybuilding, in all honesty, is boring. They don't want to sit down and learn what it takes to get to the level that the guys that are competing, the guys that are in the magazines, the guys that are on Instagram, the guys that are on Facebook, they don't want to learn about exactly the details of what they're doing and what it takes to get there. They're just seeing these guys and emulating it and taking a little bit of general information and running with it. There's no research, there's no background. And I blame it on the fact that bodybuilding as a sport is boring. It's not interesting enough to where, unless you really are interested in it, where you really are going to sit down and become a student of the game, sit down, do your research, sit down and watch these guys and watch the videos and go read articles and go read books and things of that nature to learn how to get your physique the way that these guys got their physiques, get your supplement game and understanding the supplement game right and how it's going to affect you, and get your nutrition balanced and just right with your macros and everything. Unless you're doing all that, you pretty much going to be just as lost as a lot of these young kids out here. And I blame it partially on the fact that bodybuilding is boring. And I think one of the reasons bodybuilding is boring is because of the subjective judging. Like, there's no excitement. I think there's more excitement in powerlifting and strongman. I'm not knocking bodybuilding on stage. I'm not a competitive guy myself. One day I want to compete just to see what it's like, you know. So I'm not knocking it. I think it has its place. I think it is. I don't want to see bodybuilding as a competitive sport die, but I think that we have to move away from subjugation based on bias and favoritism, because there's some times where there's some guys I look at it, they come out on that Olympia stage, and I don't watch the Olympia's live stream or anything like that. I always get the aftermath news, but when I look at the pictures and stuff, you know, some of it arguably over the past couple of years, I can honestly say maybe Phil really deserved to win those, but some of them arguably, you look at other guys, you're like, man, maybe they kind of had Phil on the ropes. But to me, I think due to popularity and biasness and, again, subjugation, you know, there's no other separating factors that can give anybody else on stage the edge beyond the favored winner. So that's my Reddit response review for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys like this video, leave a comment down below. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell so you can get notifications on my latest video. And you can only get the notifications if you subscribe. So please subscribe to Iron Gang. And again, go check me out on Instagram at IRON_GANG. That's IRON_GANG. It's your boy Wolfpack Chris, and I am out.